assignment? Sunday night?
Sundays. She's Grace.
Kills the body, but not the soul. Hallelujah. My good road upon a shore. Hallelujah. My good road upon a shore. Hallelujah. Somebody knows those words. Yeah, I like that.
I think we'll start.
The mic on? Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to what I call and have been saying to everyone tonight. Thanks for coming to the peaceful revolution.
Good.
Yes. Can we hear okay? So this Candlelight Vigil is part of our peaceful revolution. And the banner over there on Main Street says Civil Rights for All. That is also part of the peaceful revolution, which is made up of what I like to call positive, nonviolent action for democracy and civil rights for all people.
Yes.
So this is a positive action. Thank you all for being here. I love it.
I bet some of you know this song here. Sing with me, I'll sing with you, and so we will sing together. So we will sing together. So we will sing together. Sing with me, I'll sing with you, and so we will sing together as we march along. Here's a little different. We are marching for democracy, democracy, democracy. We are marching for democracy and the civil rights for all. That's it. Sing now, dance with me, I'll dance with you, and so we will dance together. So we will dance together. So we will dance together. Dance with me, I'll dance with you, and so we will dance together as we march along. We are marching for democracy, democracy, democracy. We are marching for democracy and civil rights for all. Try this one. Talk with me, I'll talk with you, and so we will talk together. So we will talk together. So we will talk together. Talk with me, I'll talk with you, and so we will talk together as we march along. We are marching for democracy, democracy, democracy. We are marching for democracy and civil rights for all. Stand with me. Stand with me, I'll stand with you, and so we will stand together. So we will stand together. So we will stand together. Stand with me, I'll stand with you, and so we will stand together as we march along. We are marching for democracy, democracy, democracy. We are marching for democracy and civil rights for all. And civil rights for all. Oh, I want to hire some of you guys.
I think
We have some speakers.
Yeah, I think we'll continue with our,
I see some speakers in the audience.
yes, I think they're,
I know there's some. And it is chilly.
Yes.
Tell me
So at
about
this
it.
point, we're going to invite a number of our legislators to speak up for democracy and civil rights. We're going to do this alphabetically. So if you know,
I'll just invite the biggest one first.
Oh, no. Do alphabetically.
All right.
alphabetically would be, let's see, Molly, I think you would be the first speaker. Thank you so much. Come on out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for inviting me to be here. And I know this group is doing great things. Can you hear me? Oh, I have to speak right in here. Yes. It's just there. Okay. How's that? All right. Okay. Now I know I'm always upset when they talk like that. So here I am. Okay. So this is a wonderful group, wonderful gathering. It's something we really need to think about, democracy. Interestingly enough, if you read the New York Times Week in Review section today, there were 2 articles on the front page of that section. One was by Roger Cohen, Democracy the Enemy, about problems in Eastern Europe with fascist-leaning governments. And the other was by Madeleine Albright, Fascism on the March. And I was just interesting that that happened today. Basically, Madeleine Albright said, defend the truth, no one is above the law, and energize the democratic process by registering new voters. Listen to those whom you disagree with, and ignore the counsel that nothing can be done. And I think that's really, really important. And I think about the book by Rebecca Solnit, which some of you may know, Hope in the Dark, how she talks about, people will go to a demonstration, oh, nothing happened, nothing's not going to do any good. And she uses the example of apartheid. Who would have thought that apartheid would have been dismantled, but it took a lot of effort, and then all of a sudden it changed. And I think that's really been borne out in the gun legislation as well. So we all need to work together. We need to have a shared vision, and we need to especially get in on the elections this fall are going to be really, really important in Vermont and in the country. So we'll be seeing each other.
This way. Can you all hear me? Yes. Perfect. It's nice to be able to serve both Molly and me with the same microphone. So I didn't come with any prepared statement, but I have some pretty powerful feelings around democracy, especially lately. With everything we've been through in Montpelier recently around our gun legislation, and most especially about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is public education. So I feel pretty strongly about public education being the cornerstone of our democracy. And I think our founding fathers thought the same thing. And I think what they felt was public education should be free, and it should be accessible for all, not just some, but for all. And the direction that we've headed in this country, and even in this state recently, has been pretty concerning around public education. And we have a Secretary of Education, a U.S. Secretary of Education, who has no experience in education. And we have a governor who just told us through a memo that he doesn't think our new Secretary of Education needs any education experience either. And I just say no. Like our students in Parkland, who spoke up so powerfully there and all over the country since then. And I don't know how many of you were in Montpelier for the March for Life, but I was there. I couldn't go to DC because I have to be in Montpelier soon. And I wish I could have been there too, but it was amazing listening to our students. That's our public education system. I am so proud of what we're producing, and Vermont has very, very long and powerful support around public education. So I would just say that do all you can to keep your public education as local and close to home as it can be, and do everything you can to make sure it's funded and it's quality, high quality, but make sure above all that it's equitable, that all Vermonters, all students have access to quality public education, equal access. So go public education!
Looks like Mike is next. All right, welcome, Mike.
We're wearing our silencers today.
Thank you for coming here. Woody, thanks for setting this up. Because we have a problem. Democracy is under threat. Democracy is under threat, as Emily said, because of education getting shortchanged by Washington. Democracy can't exist without public education.
Right.
We need an informed electorate to be able to make good decisions. And this sign here says, democracy shares the wealth. Democracy is under threat from those capitalists who treat it like a religion and put profit before people.
Yes.
They put profit before country.
Right.
And we're seeing that right at the top. And we're going to see a lot more as the Mueller investigation comes along. Democracy is not capitalism. Capitalism doesn't work with democracy. The last thing capitalism is democratic. When they say we need business people to run government, that's the last thing democracy needs. Because businesses are not run democratically. We're seeing that in the White House now. They don't know a thing about democracy. And that's where Vermont comes in, because we know something about democracy here. We know how to participate. We know how to get people out and voting. We have great voting records here in Vermont. And that's the key. We got to show the rest of the country. They got to get out and vote. We had a rally of kids at the State House who came in. They had a press conference. And afterwards I said, so how many are registered to vote? About half of them raised their hand. I said, how many can vote because they're old enough in the next election? About half raised their hand. Then they said, I said, how many are going to vote for the next election? They all raised their hand. And that is the key. For those who say these kids aren't going to make it, these young adults are not going to make a difference, they're coming, and they're going to vote. Barack Obama was elected with youth vote and minority vote, and they're coming out again. We've got to make sure that the youth who are out there demonstrating now get registered to vote, and that's the key to democracy. So thank you all for coming out, and let's keep Vermont democracy alive and well.
I'd rather hold it. Can people hear? So my name is Valerie Stewart. I've been a state representative for 8 years. I just turned 60, but I feel like I'm a child of the 60s. Because I grew up around hippies when I was a kid in Virginia. And my non-custodial parent dads farm. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. I think we're in the new 60s, right? Like, sometimes it has to get so bad that hopefully it will get good. And I've been involved since I moved to Vermont 24 years ago with my dear husband who puts up with me, who's over there. But anyway, John Mabey, my attorney husband, who visits prisons and does legal aid. And we moved here because we wanted to find a better way. And what I want to acknowledge is people like you, real 60s people who organized this, because I thank you, because you know what, democracy is under threat. And I got to tell you, John and I, my husband, well, we've been together 38 years. We got married 31 years ago. I wasn't really anxious to get married because, like I said, I was a child of the 60s. But here's the thing. We have a daughter in the military, right? She's a first lieutenant in the Army. Was I excited about that? No. Do kids do what they need to? Yes. Is democracy under threat? You bet. Is Putin a problem? Whoa. Look, is Trump a problem? Trump is a problem. We've got fake news, we've got this, we've got that. This is the problem. So, well, there you go. Stir the pot and all of it. Anyway, the long and the short of it is, what I want to say is, I'm really excited about the engagement of people who, for many years, I was kind of like, I have political friends, but they're not all political, and a lot of people, 7% of all Americans know anything about foreign policy. We have a president who's putting us all in danger. So what I want to say is, be active, be involved. Democracy is under fire. Fake news, woohoo! Let's all be on it, because I'm telling you, as a person who thought about going to school for journalism, I think that is one of the biggest problems we face. And I hope you read my column in the Reformer and in the comments about the gun bill, because I was out there early. And I was out there often. And you know what? To lead, you gotta just go for it. Like Nike said, just do it. And I basically, I'm not in this for, none of us are. We have a great delegation. Emily on education, Molly on transportation, Jeanette White, the go-to person on government operations and all sorts of things. And look, experience matters. We're living in tough times, guys. And I want to tell you, vote for experience. This is a good delegation. Mike Morwicki, he stood up for women and children. I've known him for 8 years. So thank you. God bless you all. God bless the United States of America. God bless our troops. God bless the people who care about this country. We are special. Syrians and Afghanis and all sorts of other peoples know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that working? Yes. We have roll calls alphabetically in the Senate, and of course I'm always the last to vote. So a couple of years ago, Tim Ash, who was always first, called for a reverse roll call and really caught me off guard. Anyway, I did prepare some notes because otherwise I can go way off and you'll never get the mic back away from me. So I did prepare some remarks. Our democracy is a precious thing. It is the grand experiment in governing. Yet what really is it, and how can we protect it? Each of us probably has a slightly different meaning, but in our hearts we know what it means. So what does it mean to me, and how do I think we can best protect it? I could define it in emotional terms, patriotic terms, platitudes, or oratorical flourish, which I'm not very good at. But I'm going to be a little bit more academic. Our democracy is also a republic. A democracy because we have majority rule, and a republic because we have a constitution that defines certain inalienable rights that protect the minority from the majority. It also means that individuals must prevail against special interests of all types. Vermont Supreme Court Chief Justice Reiber said that our democratic foundations are under attack, and he saw as the two single most serious threats as dark money and single issue politics. Let me read two quotes that sum up my definition of democracy. Thomas Jefferson said, "We in America do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent." The second quote is from Mary Benuto, one of the attorneys in the Baker case that led to civil unions. Here's what she said. This was during the civil union debate. "There were throngs of Vermonters there, those passionately for and those ardently against civil unions. The State House was jammed. At some point, I decided to leave the chamber to see what was happening outside. I went outside, and it was freezing, and I walked among some of the people trying to make eye contact. And I was just overcome with this feeling that they could have been my neighbors growing up and my family members for that matter. I realized when you're in a fight for your common humanity, you cannot discount the common humanity of others." So to me, the way we must protect our democracy is by encouraging participation while at the same time respecting and honoring all the voices and protecting the humanity of all. Thank you.
You do okay.
So it's still on. So the plan is that we're going to light some candles and hold them for however long we want. It may not be too long under the circumstances. And after when we decide not to hold the candles anymore, or whenever Bob thinks it's appropriate, we'll listen to a few songs, and that will wrap it up. So just want to say thanks. Don't forget about the peaceful revolution. And I love you all.
On my way out the door.
How much heat is your candle? How much heat is your candle? Good one. It's about ready right now. I can feel it. Yeah, really. Making a difference. Woohoo! Okay, so far. Candle? I think you picked it up on the one somewhere. I don't think so. Are you?
People who don't have candles. You're ready to wind down, aren't
Actually, I was driving back my son's land on the side of the road.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, right. Yeah, it's really hard when people have hats on and glasses, right? And we had the conversation about, you know, that thing all. The bill just got, I mean, I think that they are trying to address Yeah, great. It's amazing.
And we are singing for our lives. We are gentle and redeemed, and we are singing for our lives.
Gentle, angry people. Let's try it again.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives.
We are all in this together. That's right.
We are all in this together, and we are singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing for our lives.
We will fight hate with compassion.
We will fight hate with compassion, and we are singing for our lives. We will fight hate with compassion, and we are singing for our lives.
Peaceful, loving people.
We are peaceful, loving people, and we are singing for our lives. We are peaceful, loving people, and we are singing for our
I'm just going to interrupt things for a minute because Becca Ballant just come and I'd like to ask her.
Oh, Becca's here.
Right, Becca. Good evening.
Come on up here.
Why don't we all come closer so we can hear her?
Oh, you have a little
and
mic
each other's
over there?
arms.
Oh, shit. Have a mic.
Is
All
it
right.
it's still on?
Okay, great.
You can do, you're probably familiar with that.
I am. Yes. Right, tell me whatever you need me to know. Woody. Right on there, okay.
Good evening. Sorry I'm running a little late. I was on the phone with Tristan Tolino, and he wanted to convey to you that he wished he could be here. He's actually up in Manchester today. He's campaigning for a woman who's running for the House in Manchester, a woman named Kathleen James, and it went a little bit later than he thought, so he asked that I start by telling everyone that he wishes he could be here with all of you. I was thinking tonight how I have been writing my column in the Reformer for almost 7 years now. And when I first started writing it, I worried that I wouldn't be able to have anything to write about week after week. And I actually said to the editor, maybe I could write once a month. And he said, we really need somebody every week. I said, twice a month? He said, no, we really need somebody every week. And I said, okay, well, I will try. But I thought for sure I'd run out of things to say pretty early on. And so it's 7 years on. And what I realized is the thing that keeps me going week after week is that it's a platform for democracy. And it's not about my ideas. It's about all the ideas that people share with me from week to week, whether it's standing in line at Amy's waiting for coffee, or if it's at the post office or stopping me on the street. People stop to talk to me about their ideas, about what I've written, about what they've been thinking about, and they share with me their fears and their hopes and their principles. And it has been a tremendous honor to use my column as a source of democracy. And much more than my work in the Senate, I have found that this is what has connected to me, to my neighbors throughout Windham County. And a lot has happened in that 7 years. And we are facing a very dark time. And it feels like we're veering precariously close to fascism. And it's very easy to get discouraged. And I know I feel fearful. And I feel afraid at times. But coming here tonight and seeing the light and remembering that it's the exchange of ideas, the exchange of principles and ideas and philosophies and freedom. It's that exchange which gives the light more power, not just on the national stage, but in our communities. And I'm grateful to all of you for sharing this journey with me in my platform for democracy. So I'm happy to be here, and you give me hope when I am feeling so dark. And I am so grateful to all the people here who, week after week, engage in those conversations, engage in those meaningful connection that brings us closer to the kind of democracy that we strive to have. So thank you for the invitation, Woody. I very much appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I wanted to add before we start things again, anyone who would like to speak is welcome to speak. If you only have a few words to say ahead of time, it doesn't have to be a lot. But if there's something that you would like to say, you're welcome. Tina Olson, you want me to take that camera?
Okay. I write a lot, and I sometimes wonder why, but now I know. I wrote this, and I just wanted to share it. Today, I'll meditate upon the crisis of all living beings, our democracy, and everything that lives in the climate crisis. And I wrote this for that. Quietly we hold the polar bear. We think on the bees, the silencing of the toads. We think on the vanishing fireflies and the bats. We consider the towering red spruce dying of acid rain in New Hampshire. In silence, we hold the ocean as it receives the waste from Fukushima. We hold the whales, the porpoises, the fish. We hold the sickness of those beings dying from nuclear radiation in Japan. We grieve we grieve the elephants and the alligators. In dread, we imagine our grandchildren's lives without wilderness. We hold the vanishing primal tribes of Africa oppressed and exploited. We imagine ice plunging into the sea. We hold the future with our children in it and their children, and we think upon them. We imagine the hope and compassion for all that lives, that must guide our and our children's lives. We imagine the sharing of all the planet because there is no other option. Tonight we hold in compassion the suffering of our beings and those oppressed, driven by, and those driven blind by greed and murderous rage. And we hold the young and the old, the slave, the deaf, the dumb, all that is green, all that is wet, all that is living and growing. We hold tonight and some fear, as we all know the ways are changing in ways that sometimes feel that we cannot control. We hold the beauty, the courage, and the love of the many humans and animals, their devotion and courage in difficult times. We hold hope, the power, and the peace that is in our communion, our shared meditation and consensus to do what is in the best interest of life, to the best of our ability, trusting in our instincts to know together what that is and to act upon it. Thank you.
We're gonna end up with a little energy.
It's hard with a candle.
We had a request over here.
One hand clapping.
One hand clapping.
Yes.
The tide is rising.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Come on, try it. The tide is rising.
Rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
The world is ready.
The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. We are where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
The tide is rising.
That is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
What do you want?
You want more?
One for the road.
One for the road. Here we go. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. song. I'd sing it in the morning, sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing of danger, I'd sing of warning, I'd sing of love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Now I've got a hammer and I've got a bell to ring. I've got a song to sing all over this land. I sing of the dangers, it's the realm of freedom. It's the song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. It's a hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom. It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I will. See you later, Ken. Well, come on, nice to see you too. Hi. Good to see you.
Hello, Jen. How are you?
Busy weekend.
Thanks.
And you guys.
You look around and see what this is